Assassins, swift and cunning. In the corner of your eye, you catch a glimpse of one cloak. Then suddenly, your boredom is erased from history. Take a seat and relax, because you've tuned your ears into the Geekverse.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, Taylor Field, and that is right. This is the 13th episode of Geeks Creed, and I am with...
Reuben Olsen, joining Taylor over the power of the internet.
Yes, because, you know, we are all for the isolation kind of thing, but we're actually, like, in different parts of the world, so we actually can't, even if we wanted to, meet in person, so we are doing it...
I just so badly didn't want to get you sick, man. I moved to a different province.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit more than 6 feet. Yeah.
So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, you guessed it. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is all the rage right now, and it's just popping off. You know, people are super hyped about this whole Viking thing. So, I guess first impressions will get you to give us your thoughts, Reuben, because you literally just minutes ago watched the cinematic premiere for the first time.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool, and we also read that article, too, about some of the changes they made, which gave me hope as I was watching the cinematic trailer. You know me, I haven't really been playing the Assassin's Creed games as much as you have as of late, but I'm definitely going to be checking these ones out as well. Probably going to end up, I mean, look at my track record with Odyssey. I played that game for a few hours, and then I kind of did what I did with every other video game ever and dropped it because I have too many of them.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing.
No disrespect to the franchise, but it's still drawing me in every time I see them, so I'm here to react.
Well, that's
what
good.
You say, basically.
It's such a big game, so I'm not, like, shocked that it can kind of, like, fall to the side a little bit sometimes, and other games kind of pop in, so...
How long have they taken this time? It was, like, what, a 2-year break?
It was a 2-year break, so, I mean, when Assassin's Creed... Oh, what was the one before Origins? I think it was Syndicate. So when Syndicate came out, they took a 2-year break, and then popped off with Origins, and then Odyssey was literally the next year. But people have to remember that it's not like the company just bands together and whips out a game like super fast within a year. You know, they have different studios.
Yeah, they have multiple studios. The Ubisoft's in different countries.
Exactly. So they were probably working on this, I imagine, at the time that they were pumping out Odyssey, to be honest. But yeah, this is done by the same team that did Origins and the same team that did Unity. And... You know, we were talking about that briefly. I guess we'll quickly touch upon this. You wanted, like, that co-op kind of component to it. And Unity, as much as it has so many flaws, it had that. I was playing and running through with a squad of 3 other online players like Assassins, and we're doing missions and free roaming. It was so much fun. It's really a shame that they've kind of done away with that option, being something you could go, like, try if you wanted to. Even the multiplayer from, like, Brotherhood, that was one of my favorite multiplayer games I've ever kind of gone into, so...
That's exactly it. I think they would make a lot more progress by putting co-op or something into a game like this, because right now people's attention spans are so short. Single-player games hold up to the people that still like to read books and watch a lot of movies on their own, but as for someone like me, my attention span has been gone for years. Multiplayer games... Obviously, as you know, I've played a lot of online shooters. I've played a lot of online, like, Predator Hunting Grounds right now. All those kind of games. Those hold my attention far longer than anything with a long and meaningful story that would actually benefit me as a human being.
Very wise. So, I guess... Judging from my notes here, I guess we've got top of the list, open world gameplay. Unless there's anything you wanted to dive into first before we get into some notes and I throw you some info.
No, you go right ahead.
Okay. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get right into some very specific details. So the open world gameplay and combat. The combat has been altered in some form with an emphasis on making every hit feel impactful. This also includes giving players the ability to dismember and decapitate foes. So that's new for Assassin's Creed.
Making the combat more visceral and all that stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, a few of these notes I think you already mentioned before we went live here. But, like, Assassins have had 2 weapons at once before, like 2 swords. Valhalla places a new emphasis on dual wielding, allowing you to mix and match. So, like, yeah, dual shields, Shields return.
Yeah, the turtle build.
Mm-hmm. The Assassin's Blade returns as well. So the Blade was in Origins. It was not in Odyssey throughout most of the game, and then they threw in the DLC, like the first hidden blade or something like that, and that's where it kind of like tackles into that kind of like weaponry. You get throwing axes available in this game. Players will traverse by sea via their Viking longship. You can spot fortresses from the water and attack them with a raiding party in massive raids. Large-scale land battles will also be part of the story. And RPG trappings introduced in Origins will return with new skills as well as new gear to collect. And open-world activities including hunting, fishing, dice, drinking games. Drinking games, that's cool. Additionally, Valhalla will introduce the competitive sport of flighting, aka Viking rap battles. How do you feel about that?
They try and make this the Red Dead Redemption 2 of Assassin's Creed with all these mini games and stuff. So wait, Viking rap battles, is that serious? I didn't read that.
It's serious, yeah. The sport of flighting.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, explain that to me in some more detail. I had no idea that was a thing, and I have a lot of Norwegian in my DNA.
So,
I'm very disappointed in myself right now for not knowing this.
I don't know all of the specifics behind this. I just know that it has been like talk of the town that you're gonna be Vikings and you get to rap. I don't know to what like extent, and I don't think it's gonna be like modern day rap like books and bros. Just I think it'll
Viking flighting,
yeah, or the
with an L.
Sport of flighting, yeah, Lyting, starting with an F. So,
Lyting,
flighting. Starts with an F. So,
what?
I've never heard of that term before either, actually.
It's a contest consisting of the exchange of insults between two parties, often conducted in verse. It's literally a rap battle. Holy crap. What? This is a thing? What?
Stems from the Vikings.
I'm gonna drop a sick insult on you, but it's gonna be so subtle it's low key, and I can't rhyme worth shit right now, so this isn't even a verse. I've already failed my rap battle. There we go. But I put a pun in there, so we're good.
Yeah, I guess that'll be cool to try. I love Assassin's Creed kind of like minigame things off to the side. So the main protagonist's name is Eivor, and he's gonna have obviously a bird companion in the shape of a raven, which is a common addition to Assassin's Creed. Usually you got like your eagles and all that kind of stuff. So very cool to have the birds.
So now we're getting a raven, huh?
We're getting a raven, yeah.
A raven's a first, isn't it?
The raven is the first, yeah, because we've had bald eagles, regular eagles before. I think even hawks as well. So this is definitely first.
Are we gonna get like? I guess we're not gonna get our eagle cry when we do the big leaps and stuff like that. Are we gonna get like a raven?
Yeah, we'll get. Have you heard like the ravens do those predator noises?
No, I haven't.
The ravens can do a spot on like that, like the crickety noise that the predators do, like that. I can't do it. But if you're out and you see ravens, you'll hear it.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we'll have like predator noises in the game, I'm sure. Oh, they'll probably do like the ka or something like that, I guess. So story and world. So obviously Valhalla is set in the 9th century England during the Dark Ages. Follows Eivor, a Viking warrior who leads his people out of Norway and into England to settle. So just to confirm this, you will be able to play as a female Eivor. Both are considered canon, the male and female, and they both will like obviously progress with the story and all that stuff. So I think that's good. I saw a lot of like comments. I mentioned this to you already that people were like upset about women Vikings to some degree, and I don't know why people kind of had this opinion like, oh, there wasn't any, I guess, on that front. But like you said, it's Hollywood that kind of like changes people's like interpretation,
opinions of that kind of thing. Yeah. A lot of people take what they see in the movies as facts, and I mean, don't quote me on this, but I'm fairly certain that I have read numerous times that there were female and male Vikings.
Mm-hmm. And that's something Ubisoft has come out and like defended too, like saying like most of our stuff like it's historically accurate. Well, they try to be historically accurate, but a lot of the things they do is like they do the research into it, and they find justification to do what they do in games while giving people a lot of leeway into like what maybe isn't real, but.
Well, yeah, I mean, like when they did Origins there, they had that whole tour of Egypt thing for schools and education, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's I mean, the stuff like that is brilliant. So I mean, they're not like, you take it with a grain of salt too. Obviously, like the giant snakes you fight in like Origins. I mean, maybe there was a giant snake back then. Who knows? Like maybe Medusa was actually, you know, a real thing. Like who knows? It's interpretation really, but
I hope Medusa was a real thing. I would totally time travel back for that.
oh god, she turned you to stone though.
I'd be rock hard.
King Alfred of Wessex will be an opponent Eivor in the Vikings face. Alfred will be the antagonist, but narrative director Darby McDevitt said it would be wrong to call him the central antagonist of the game. Interesting. Where some other possible big antagonists may appear is in the modern day story. Okay, there we go. Layla's modern day story from Origins and Odyssey will continue in Valhalla. So Layla is a I have to go back and kind of learn a little bit more about her, but she's basically someone who I feel like got kind of roped into like the Assassin Templar kind of like conflict. She was the one who discovered like Bayek's tomb and went out there and was trying to like do work for Abstergo and then started to kind of like learn the truth a little bit more.
Yeah, I remember all that when we were playing Origins together there for a bit.
Eivor will eventually run across some group of assassins in England, though at this time the Assassins and Templars are still being referred to as they were in AC Origins. So... Oh, and Odyssey. Okay, so at this time the Assassins are still called the Hidden Ones, and the Templars are the Order of the Ancients. So that's super cool. I love that. Valhalla's map will include Norway, which which players can return to after the Vikings leave, and the 4 kingdoms of England: Wessex, Northumbria, East Anglia, and Mercia. Major English cities included will be London, Winchester, and Jorvik. While Valhalla is not meant to be the end of the series, McDevitt called it a good capper to the franchise so far, and should include a lot of nods to the franchise's history. So, how do you feel about that? Like the location and everywhere you can travel to?
Oh, I mean, that seems interesting enough. I don't have a lot of comments on it because the past few games have been pretty heckin' huge. I couldn't possibly explore everything there was to explore, even if I sat down and played through the games 100%.
Now,
but they do seem like they have like a lot of different maps and areas and stuff here now too, not just one big interconnected continent, right?
Yes.
So is that, don't correct me if I'm wrong, but is that kind of going back towards like the Black Flag route where you had like the different islands and stuff too?
That's how I take it. And I mean, that's kind of what Odyssey had. Odyssey wasn't really one big continent, but there was like all these big islands with the ocean in between.
Well, I mean, England's its own thing pretty much. There's not like a whole lot around it, but there's some areas. I'm just not familiar with all the names.
Yeah, I don't know if a lot of those names are still like current. I'm not a historian, so I apologize, fans, if you're like, no, Jorvik is still a real place. I apologize. I mean, no
we're
offense.
not smart people.
Development. So yeah, Ubisoft Montreal is the lead development studio on Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Ashraf Ismail is directing the project. So yeah, his team, he previously worked on Black Flag and Origins. So, I mean, that's good. Black Flag was absolutely fantastic.
That was one of the best ones for sure. It's got a lot of good reviews.
Yeah.
Now, you said this is Ubisoft Montreal, right? What were the other studios?
There's Ubisoft of... Oh, God. I'm going to have to pull it up and see. Ubisoft...
What happened to us?
I know. It's been so long.
Why don't we know these things?
2 years goes by and it's just crazy. I think there is, like, Ubisoft Brazil, I believe. So we got... But in Canada, I mean, Ubisoft Halifax, Quebec, San Francisco, Ubisoft Toronto, Ubisoft Winnipeg. So yeah, across the world, though, I mean, we've got, like, Ubisoft Paris, Ubisoft Osaka, Ubisoft Philippines, Ubisoft Shanghai, Ubisoft Singapore, so they're pretty widespread across the world. A lot of places.
I'd be interested to see all the different studios responsible for the Assassin's Creed games, because then you could look at Ubisoft Montreal and their track record and be like, oh, they've made the good ones. And
well, like they definitely have their hand in a lot of them, like Black Flag, Unity, Origins, and now this. And to me, like, those are all some of my most favorites of the franchise. obviously Unity hit a few rocks, but it was very, very a fresh, bold perspective that they went for in that game. And Origins, as far as I'm aware, I consider it to be a good success.
Yeah, I was reading online too that a lot of people, like, as fun as Odyssey was, people still enjoyed Origins and its story more than Odyssey's.
Yeah. Assassin's Creed Valhalla will be the first entry for the franchise for PS5 and Xbox Series X. It also is confirmed for PS4, Xbox One, PC, Google Stadia, and Uplay.
Google Stadia, really?
Yeah, believe it or not, because Google Stadia has that signed agreement for Uplay Plus, right?
All right.
So they have all those you pay like $10 a month and get all those Ubisoft titles, which is just brutal how that's not on like any other console. It's like, man, you would have made so much more money putting it out on like PC, Xbox, and Sony. Yeah, and another interesting thing too is it's going to be what is that term called for the Xbox Series X? There is a term that they have where you buy a game, and Cyberpunk is doing this, and you buy it on old gen, and they'll upgrade it onto the next gen console for you, so you do not have to rebuy the game, and they'll optimize the graphics and everything for you.
Really?
Yeah, and so Cyberpunk is a part of that for Xbox, and this new Assassin's Creed Valhalla is a part of that as well. So if you buy Valhalla on Xbox One, they'll upgrade it to the Series X for free. They'll upgrade the graphics and everything. So...
Well, basically, they just give you the updated copy of the game for the next console.
They
right?
do, yeah, and I think they give you an update for your game, so when you pop the disc in, it just automatically does it. I don't think they send you like another disc or anything like that.
No.
And so, yeah, the game's looking at a holiday 2020 release window. A lot of people were kind of speculating November 17th, which, I mean, it's a bold prediction, but it could happen because November 17th is when Assassin's Creed 2 actually released. So, I don't know. Like, Ubisoft, they love their dates. It's a very Assassin's Creed-like thing for them. Ubisoft has confirmed Assassin's Creed Valhalla will be a day one launch title for Xbox Series X and PS5. But we don't know the release date of those consoles, so, I mean, we don't really know when that launch day is going to be for them. So,
well, if we do get an announcement for launch day, we'll have a release date for those versions, though.
Exactly. Yeah. Player choice, settlement customization, and more. So yeah, like in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, players can choose obviously between male or female protagonist. Gear will also be much more customizable in Valhalla. So I don't know if you've seen there's video ads everywhere showing Eivor kind of starting off in his basic gear, and then it shows him upgraded and he's got a bigger beard and new gear, and then a next clip showing him in this whole helmet, Viking apparel and everything. So the customization looks amazing in this game.
I hope the beard continues to grow as you get stronger. I hope that's a major feature.
That would be unique. You wouldn't want to be able to customize it in the game. You just want it to grow as you get stronger.
I just want the beard just to grow bigger and longer. Start braiding it. Pretty soon he has to throw it over his shoulders so he doesn't trip on it.
There'll definitely be braids in this game for sure.
Put knives on the ends of the braids so you can just swing around and kill everything around you in a big circle.
Wow, that's actually not a bad idea. That's actually terrifying. Holy shit.
No, that's a horrible idea.
I wonder if, it seems like there'd be some credibility. I could totally see people putting knives at the end of their beards and swinging them around. I mean, if Blackbeard went as far as putting, these, gunpowder, fuses on his, beard and, lit them on fire and created smoke in his face as he boarded enemy ships, who's to say someone wasn't going to be I'm going to pop some knives in there?
That's definitely a unique approach. Let's change topics before we get a little bit too silly there.
Okay. Each piece of gear in the game will be unique. That's a great note. New customization options including hair, tattoos, clothing, and war paint. So we've never had that opportunity before, I think, of really going in depth and changing the obviously war paint's definitely an interesting feature, but changing the clothes, I always felt like it was changing your top armor piece, your lower armor piece, and the gauntlets, and you could get very cool with that. But I'm hoping that this means much more in depth, changing your customization of so much more in depth stuff, I guess.
I definitely want to play Assassins Creed. That sounds like a fun game.
Assassins Creed.
Yeah, you know me in customization in games. I go so in depth.
It's true. You definitely do.
Let me make my female assassin and then dress her up all day long.
Let's see here. Players will be able to make custom Viking raiders for their raiding parties and even share them with friends. Custom Viking raiders. I don't understand what that really is.
That's probably just like customization for your raiding party, so that let's say you have like a group of 9 characters, you can customize them, change their clothes and their outfits, their abilities, skill sets, probably. Those are all just assumptions, and then through the power of the internet, again, sharing them with your friends. So I could be like, yo, I have a really good build for my raiding party, try this out, and I could send some or all of my characters over to you, and you could equip that raiding party and play with them.
Oh, that would be really nice.
That's just what I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if you interpreted that from what I said, I mean, I feel like there's probably a lot of truth to that, because, I mean, I had no idea what it was referring to.
Well, it's just that feels like the first thing that they would probably do.
Yeah.
It seems accurate.
Yeah. Players will also get to forge a home for themselves and either Vikings with the focus on building a settlement, your Viking homestead. So I like that. You know, it kind of goes back to they touched upon it in Assassin's Creed 2, where you kind of go back to what was it called, like Montgomery. I can't pronounce the term where Uncle Mario was, and you go back there and you like can like kind of repair the joint, like the main mansion. So that's kind of cool. I like that, and they've kind of dabbled in different things like building up your boat and Black Flag and everything. So, I mean, how do you feel about building up a settlement?
Oh, I feel fine with that. I mean, that's par for the course for these kind of games now. They said like putting different buildings and stuff in your settlement. I really hope you get to choose where you place them and had some more customization like that, because in a lot of those games usually it's like a preset feature and you just build onto a few things until you have like the end game build that's the same for every single player.
Well,
I really want to see them expand on that and be like, oh, I could choose to have like a smithy and put it here, and then I could choose to upgrade it down a certain path and make it unique from yours, where you maybe went down a different route with it, put it in a different location, your building does something slightly different from mine, and kind of expand on your settlement that way, you know?
Yeah, I hope that's right. It does say next, like, the settlement will include buildings to upgrade, like a blacksmith, a barracks, and even a tattoo parlor, and more. So that's kind of cool. Players will have to make choices throughout the campaign, including political and personal alliances, dialogue choices, and more. So that was definitely a fun thing having in Odyssey, was the option of like dialogue and getting to choose more in depthly what you want to say to people.
Yeah, but I think that's also, in my opinion, is going to differ from yours drastically. That's a caveat to these kind of games as well, because going back to something like Mass Effect, then you really start to get into those, what's the proper term? It's like a loop in the gameplay where it doesn't really matter what you pick, your choices seem like they matter, but the dialogue is worded so generically that no matter what answer you choose, the response is generally the same with maybe a different word here or there.
Yeah.
And that just, that always falls flat for me when they do something like that. Especially if they try to make it so your character can go down like a good or evil route and you try to go somewhere in between. It never really works out very well.
Yeah, you are right, because in Assassin's Creed they generally steer you down that singular path to being a good guy.
Yeah.
In some cases, like the side quests and the side missions, you definitely get to choose like that freedom of like, okay, do you want to be a bad guy talking to this person or a good guy? Like in Odyssey, I've had so many relationships with people, and I could have friend zoned them, or I could have chose to like progress with that. And that's cool, because that leads into our next topic. So alliance examples include conducting a marriage to unite clans, while romance options will be available to the player too. So you'll be able to like sweet talk, and that's the thing with Odyssey. It was totally like back and forth. Like you could be a guy and go with guys, it could be a girl go with girls, or just vice versa. Like in the mix, like it was very liberating, or not liberating. I mean, it was a very interesting perspective. So, and I don't think I've ever played a game where I was playing as like Alexios, and there's like this dude, and he was flirting with me, and I was like, oh, flirt back, why not? See what happens. I've never explored this part of my life before.
I'm sure they'll try something like that. I don't know what kind of data there is for historical accuracy on that.
In the Viking time.
I did, in the Viking time, I took more medieval European history, and it included very little of that, although there was some of it, but nothing that touched on that kind of topic.
I guess it's kind of something that they're really kind of implementing into a lot of games nowadays, because I think Cyberpunk is going to have a full, like, array of that.
Cyberpunk doesn't let you pick, like, a gender, for instance. It lets you pick your appearance. And if you, as the player, want to gender that appearance, you can go ahead. You can leave it open for interpretation. All that kind of stuff. Because they want to be able to please everyone now. They don't want anyone to feel left out, I guess, is the term.
And that's fair. Like, that's why I stand by them having, like, female protagonists in Assassin's Creed. I think that's very important because I don't think girls should have to play as guys, like, all the freaking time for a franchise. I think it's very cool to have those characters that create that sense of relationship and something you can relate to in a game. Because, like, when we were growing up, there's so many characters for us, you relate to growing up. You got your Master Chiefs, you got your... Oh,
I know, definitely. For me, I have my Chun-Li's. I have all the female characters that I've made in all the games. I have all the games I play, like Tomb Raider, where I can play as Lara Croft. Definitely very masculine characters for me.
There you go. So I think that it's great that these games nowadays, they can deliver on this kind of forefront and just be great with that. It's we are going to be getting to see gameplay for this at Xbox's Insider on this Thursday. I'll get the date here for you.
I'm very excited to see gameplay because the cinematic trailer, as cool as it was, doesn't show anything gameplay related at all. So you can't really. We're just going off of what, like, the director said in that interview and other things.
Exactly.
That don't really give us. It's like we're describing something, but we can't actually see it, You can't really feel how real it is.
Exactly. We only have just the cinematic trailer to go on. And I've talked to a few people that are like, oh, is this what the graphics look like in game? I'm like, no, don't fall for that. It's not. That's not how it works.
Although with current generation technology, I would say something in that cinematic trailer wouldn't be too far off. I think we're getting close to the point where something like that cinematic trailer would be rendered in-engine at this point.
Yeah, 100%. So
now, if it was like in VR, that'd be a different story.
Yeah,
VR is not quite at that level yet for graphics.
VR is definitely catching up a little bit, but
and it's interesting that because they're bringing it to the PS5, right? Now this is going slightly off topic, but I can see them doing this in future Assassin's Creed games, which is where I'm going to lead this into. Is the PS5 is going to have the PlayStation VR 2, right? And you're going to be able to use your old headset and controllers and stuff, but they just showed off the new controllers for the PlayStation 5. I think it was yesterday, maybe this morning. I don't know. Anyways, so the new controllers have full finger tracking, right? So imagine an Assassin's Creed game in VR where you actually, like, maybe you move, like, one of your fingers down that activates your hidden blade and you go and you run around and do those things in VR, which would be super cool. I would almost... one of my earlier things I was going to bring up, and I didn't really get to it, was the whole story element that they're introducing into the Assassin's Creed games now, like with Origins and now Valhalla and Odyssey and everything, is my attention span topic. The stories and everything is what killed it for me, because then I'm going down a linear path and I feel obligated to go do this or that. And if that story's not gripping me, which a lot of them just don't because no attention span, right? That's when I start to drop the games more, and I go back to those simple multiplayer games where I can fit in a 15-20 minute round. But then I look at other single player games like, say, Hitman or Hitman 2, like the new Hitman games.
Yeah.
I could play those forever, and Assassin's Creed is perfect for that too. So I would love to see, like, the PlayStation 5's VR system, and maybe Xbox will have something for their new Xbox Series X or whatever. The Assassin's Creed would fit right in with that kind of a gameplay perspective where you're given a mission to, like, assassinate this guy, and you can play in VR and you go about your mission and sneak around and do things Hitman style almost.
Yeah, no, I agree. I could definitely see them tapping into that kind of area. I feel like in terms of, like, Xbox on that forefront, I've talked to, like, Travis and Dylan about this a bit, but, like, I don't know if, like, VR is really the path that they're gonna be going down. Like, for Xbox, I feel like their focus is elsewhere. So, I mean, as cool as that would be to get, like, try to get something like that, it would probably only be, like, on your PC or on your PlayStation, I guess. But I mean, maybe they might, like, switch it up, because I mean, they did dish out that eagle flying game, which I haven't heard anything about in forever.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened to that game, but
I think VR is the future for gaming in a sense. We're not quite at that point where we can do the full shift yet because there's a lot of downsides to VR. But once they can get past that and they just start implementing the consoles and everything into the headsets, like something like the Oculus Quest, like look at how popular games like Beat Saber are.
Yeah, that's true.
That is a VR game that everyone can pick up and enjoy, and the only negatives to Beat Saber is what headset or system you're using to play it. Something like the Quest that gives you the freedom to spin around and not have to worry about tracking and stuff. That's the perfect environment for VR. And I'm sure they're going to go down that route now with the finger and hand tracking and everything, where pretty soon you won't really need buttons on the controller in a conventional gaming sense. You have your hands in front of you so that whatever system they implement for actually moving, everything you interact with is just like you'd be doing it in real life, as if you went to a really fancy LARP or something where you actually had to go into a battle in a war and swing a sword around and do things.
Yeah.
That's where I want to see them go.
That's something I'd love to partake in, and I hope VR keeps on progressing the way it does. My deterrent with it is just that, if I were to buy like a $500, $600 console or like a $1,000 computer, and then I got to drop another few $100s in the headset, it's just that's my deterrent. I'd love it if they kind of like
it should be implemented into the base kind of unit. Right?
Yeah. And I think
like if VR is the future, then I can see maybe the next PlayStation or the next Xbox after the next release being the VR headset.
Yeah.
That's it. That's your only option.
Yeah, like you said, like building the console into the headset, that way it's two birds with one stone. Because you spend $600 on a PlayStation, and another like $400 on the headset, and then like $50 on a game. It's like, oh my god, I don't have this kind of money.
Right? So attention span, I've taken us completely off course here. I will let you continue now if you can pick back up our old topics about Assassin's Creed here.
Well, that's pretty much all the notes that I have. I'm just trying to think if I had anything else, but other than that, it's just the game. I'm excited to see it. Insider Xbox on May the 7th, Thursday, is when we're gonna get like the gameplay for it, and that's what I'm really itching for to see. And not only that, but it's gonna showcase exactly what the Xbox One X is gonna be capable of.
So here's a question for you then about Assassin's Creed in general. When this gameplay trailer is going to come out, like we don't know what's in it yet, but what are some of the key things you're hoping to see? What most excites you about a new Assassin's Creed game that you would like to see?
The thing that would excite me the most is I just want it to feel and resonate with me like, Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood did. I want it to feel that old nostalgic Assassin's Creed, and so many people are commenting in the comments saying like, oh, if this didn't have the title Assassin's Creed, when you look at the cover, how would you know it is Assassin's Creed? And I've seen people like zoom in on the guy's wrist, and you see the wrist blade, and then they go like 20 times zoom just to like showcase it, like it's right here. But the guy does make a good point. How would you know? Looking at Assassin's Creed 2's cover, you know it's Assassin's Creed. And if he had the hood option popped up, I'm sure it's in the game. They wouldn't not have you allowed to use the hood. So I think that's definitely my kind of thing for me. Like, I want it to just feel like it is before. I want to, I love the idea of you stumbling across the assassins, and that's like every Assassin's Creed game for the most part. And in Assassin's Creed 2, when your family was kidnapped and they were all murdered, and your dad told you to go to the house and pull out the armor in this chest, and Ezio like puts the gear on for the first time. And then
that has a super special moment. Yeah, that really pulls you into the world there.
Like, it's just, that's the kind of thing where you're literally playing as this character since he's a baby all the way up to when he's an old man, and he pretty much is eventually a few years from passing. It's just that character holds a special place in my heart, and I want another character like that in Assassin's Creed. And with Desmond was always a close character on that front. And I find myself trying to connect with Layla, but I don't necessarily have that connection as strongly as I did with Desmond. But the story has expanded so massively with all like the Templars and Pieces of Eden and all this stuff, and I miss it being that simple linear story of these are the Templars, these are the Assassins. There is an apple of Eden, and we need to find it to save the world. You know, it's just a nice linear story, and I hope that this has that where you're playing as Eivor, and it's just you don't know about the Assassins, and then you know horrible things happen, and you see these people that have wronged you, and then you find the Assassins or the hidden ones, and you join them, and then it kind of just it takes off from there into a great thrilling story. So that's what I want is the nostalgia back. But what about you?
And that's kind of where it is for me too, because like the story of Assassin's Creed 2, I was able to play through both Assassin's Creed 1, as dated as it is now and unpolished, and Assassin's Creed 2, because their stories didn't really get in the way of the gameplay. It was that really gripping story where, yes, you get attached to the character, you become the assassin, and you want to see him succeed and do all these things, and all the revenge aspects and stuff like that too. But the gameplay itself still bled down to, you're an assassin, here's your target, go get them.
Yeah.
And nothing else really got in the way of that. You ran out, you found your target, you stalked them for a bit, you found a good opportunity, maybe you blended into some crowds, sat in a few benches, maybe you found your way to the target that way, but there was a gameplay loop, and sometimes it got a little bit stale, especially because those games were the first in the series and very unpolished, but they had that special feeling to them that other games at the time didn't really have, unless like I bring up Hitman or something again, right? Because like look at what we were talking about when we did our Assassin's Creed Origins podcast. We were talking about The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
That was our biggest example of where they're taking the Assassin's Creed series. The Witcher 3, is that a comparison proper? Well, it was an exciting game, and The Witcher 3 was very, very good in its own right. And at the time, I was very curious to see how Assassin's Creed would take elements from something like that, all the RPG aspects, maybe all the side quests and stuff like that. But they didn't really nail it like I thought they would, and it really took away from the Assassin's Creed feel of those games, plus the massive amounts of story that gets shoved down your throat. Then they start to lose people like me, where my attention span is focused on the games where I have the gameplay and I can pick it up and put it right back down and pick it up again and not be super duper lost or confused as to what I'm doing or where I'm going.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
I like how both of our answers were very, very, very different.
They were, but I totally understand where you're coming from, because there's a lot of people I know that have played the games, and they can't get invested into Assassin's Creed so much because the story is so dominant. And nowadays, when you have like over 10 games in this franchise, it's like, okay, I'm going to jump in the story, but how can I jump in when I don't know what's happened prior? And I think that's what they try to do. Like, they try to do games that span over centuries so that it doesn't matter which game you jump into, you're joining in with a new character that you can try and connect with.
But there's still that connection from the modern day character too, right? Where it's like, well, I don't really understand this part of the game, so then you start to get disconnected.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think if they just bring back the stealth more, bring back that gameplay loop of giving us like those targeted missions, those gameplay segments of maybe 2 hours of story at a time, where this is what I'm doing for the next 2 hours. I'm focusing on this target. I'm focusing on this little story. Once you complete that, you can take a break from the game. You can come back to it. Then it goes to the next part, and overall there's that overarching story, but it's not getting in your way when you're going from point A to point B just to continue the same cutscene.
Yeah.
And then from point B to point C to get more of that cutscene.
Yeah.
Then you do a side quest, and you have to level up, and you have to go grind some gameplay that's not Assassin's Creed, so that you can go watch another cutscene. And I don't mean to be hammering those games that hard. They did have very fun gameplay in their own rights. But it felt more like it was trying to be something it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. It's, it kind of feels like, you could say like Assassin's Creed has struggled to kind of have its own identity, in so many games. But I feel, especially like after Origins, they completely just U-turned the series with their combat system and everything. Turn it into an RPG, like The Witcher. And a lot of people hate that. So many people I've seen hate the RPG element.
And I would say it's not the combat really that's at fault there. It's the gameplay style, because Origins would let you go ham and swing your weapons around Dark Souls-y style, right? It had that difficulty there and all that stuff, but that wasn't the gameplay that we were quite looking for. As new as it was, they could still take that element to the big battles and having, oh yeah, I can swing my stuff around, I have all these combos, I have all these moves I can do. But I want to mainly focus on the sneaking around, choosing a target. You jump, you get that big moment where, oh yeah, I did it. Not, well, here's a boss fight, let's go whittle away at this guy's health.
Mm-hmm. And that's, again, what Odyssey did. Odyssey was so much more open. Like, you go into these huge Greek battles with Sparta and everything, and, like, you're fighting these big bosses and stuff, and it's, you know, as great as it was, it's like, you know, I miss that old school Assassin's Creed, like you said, where I'm sneaking around, I'm up on the rooftops, I can jump in, assassinate, crouch behind the corner, hide in the haystack, and get the next guy, you know? It has that element that, like, the Batman at Arkham games have, where you can do those challenges where you're sneaking through, like, the building and, like, take out the goons. Like, that's the thing I like about Assassin's Creed.
Right. So, basically, Taylor, what we're saying is we've become old and jaded, and we want to go back to the good old days.
Yeah, our opinions are irrelevant now. Oh, God.
We're out of touch. We don't even know what we're talking about with the last couple of games because I didn't actually beat them or play through all of them.
Back in my day. I guess to kind of cap this off, I'm just going to run through the timeline because I got a timeline here of Assassin's Creed, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
So between the years 500 BC and 180, we have Odyssey and Origins. Shortly after 1 AD, we got Valhalla. That happens between 1 AD and 1100 AD. Then after 1100 AD, we got the Recollection, Altair's Chronicles, Bloodlines, and Assassin's Creed. And then in 1250 AD, there's nothing to 3000 or 1375 AD. But after 1375, we have Rebellion. We have Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed Discovery. Discovery was that one on the DS, if anyone remembers.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I actually played that game. I played and beat that one.
Did you actually?
Yeah, I did. Running around collecting those little blue points and stuff floating in the different, like, on the rooftops.
That's awesome. That's actually super cool. Multiplayer Rearmed. I don't know what Multiplayer Rearmed is. Then we got Brotherhood and Identity that come in 1500. So, I guess Assassin's Creed 2 is, 1400s. Revelations happens after the 1500s. Project Legacy. Then we have the Chronicles of China, Assassin's Creed. And those are those fun, like, side-scrolling games, Assassin's Creed Chronicles. Then 1625, we have Black Flag, and then Assassin's Creed Pirates. 1750, we got Rogue, then Assassin's Creed 3, and then Assassin's Creed Liberation. And a little bit after that, we have Unity. And we have 1825, and we have Chronicles India, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and then Assassin's Creed Chronicles Russia, and then 2000 AD. The rest is history. So
where do you think they'll go next now?
After Valhalla?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people were angry that they didn't get their Japanese-style Assassin's Creed game this year, but honestly, like, we've gotten a lot of Viking things earlier this year. I feel like right now it goes to Tsushima and all that, like, to kind of compete with that, like, don't bother right now. Let the other developers do their Japanese, like, aesthetic games and everything, and just do your Viking thing. Because Vikings, like, they hit a high point, like, a few months ago, and a lot of people are into the show Vikings, and, you know, a lot of people are into the God of War and everything, and there's a break right now, so take advantage of that. Do Japan, like 2 years from now.
And then after that, then we can go to the Wild West.
Oh, yeah.
And we're all caught up.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Maybe they can beat the release of Red Dead Redemption 3, you know? Steal its glory.
Yeah, just whip that out. That would be so cool. Between, like, eventually I feel like they have to end this franchise on a current modern-day Assassin's Creed, even though Watch Dogs is very much like that. And Watch Dogs 3 kind of has a similar element.
Why did you... I can't believe you brought up Watch Dogs.
Is that a good or a bad
Oh, no. That's...
Are you not excited for a Watch Dogs Legion?
No.
What? Watch Dogs Legion looks so good. You can recruit grannies and have them go fight for you.
I fell out of the Watch Dogs loop after the first game.
Well, Watch Dogs 1 definitely hit a few struggles. Watch Dogs 2, I am enjoying what I'm playing for that. Have you seen anything for Watch Dogs Legion?
No, I can't judge that. I'm only judging everything based off the first
If
game.
you have some free time, watch like some gameplay and a trailer for Legion. It'll blow you away. Anyone in the world is recruitable and playable. You can recruit old ladies to your cause. You can recruit cops. You can recruit FBI agents. You can do anything just to undermine the government. It's so cool.
I'll look into it.
Definitely do.
With a very jaded soul.
I do wonder if they're gonna have more crossover Easter eggs, because Origins had that Easter egg of seeing what's his name from Watch Dogs 1. They had like surveillance footage in Origins so you could see him kind of doing his thing. But yeah, so other than that, I don't think I have anything else for Assassin's Creed news.
Well, I think then we're all caught up right now, aren't we?
Yeah, we're all caught up. So, I mean, heck, ladies and gentlemen, you might probably get another Geeks Creed episode out of us when, maybe more information for the game comes out, and hopefully life is a little bit easier for us to kind of like sit down and make this happen. But yeah, if you want more content from us, go check out Rod or Not, because we've got a new episode that popped up like a month ago, and we have our anniversary episode on Patreon. Yeah, Reuben doesn't feel good right now.
Oh no.
But yeah, so there's all the Patreon people out there. You get access to that episode early right now, and then yeah, if you're not on Patreon, you get still access to a brand new episode that we put out. So there's something for everyone, which is great. And then yeah, make sure you check out everything on Geekverse. We just unveiled our network, so we're gonna have new podcast shows happening throughout the week. Go check out our Facebook and social medias to learn more about that. It's super cool, the Geek Ultimate Alliance network. And I guess check out our Dragon Ball Z Evolution review that we did. I don't know if you've seen that movie, Ruben, but it's god-awful.
I don't watch Dragon Ball.
Okay. Yeah, well, if you do, don't ever watch the movie. But, yeah, so other than that, Facebook, Star Wars Clone Wars poll, check that out. And, yeah, until next time...
We'll see you in the search bar.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you in the search bar.